Hey everybody, your friend Ben here. This is a great positive video for anyone who typed in the words depression or I'm feeling depressed into the search engine. So just chill out, grab a glass of water, a cup of coffee, and enjoy this video. And please subscribe to this channel. That really helps a lot, and I'd really appreciate your subscription. What's the true longest word in the world? It's not supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Some say it's pneumona ultramicroscopic silicovolcanicosis. For that I am precocious, but folks, really, truly, undeniably, the true longest word in the world is smiles, because in between each S is a mile. Did I make you smile? You smile, baby. Your depression is already going away. Look at it, there it goes. It's going away. Isn't it amazing how people who live in the United States have it so much better than so many other places? Imagine for a minute that you lived in Haiti or Venezuela or Somalia. I've lived in places like that, and it made me appreciate this large dysfunctional country of ours all the more. The United States is at an intellectual crisis point right now. We have millions and millions of Americans who have never read one entire book cover to cover in their lives. And I've said it before, I feel this is at the core of the current crisis we are in. But you can use this to your advantage, because growing your mind is a part of overcoming your adversities. I had a request from a viewer I know who, like the majority of people, can't afford a therapist and, like me, believe it's a waste of time anyhow. And she asked if I do a video about depression and overcoming depression, and I thought this would be a good idea, but I want to forewarn you that everybody in the whole world suffers from depression from time to time. That's a fact. And two, it's my belief that you never completely overcome depression, the same way alcoholics never completely overcome being alcoholics. Depression is much more prevalent than even alcohol and drug addiction in the United States and also around the world. And how we manage our depression and learn to control it is what it's all about. There are always going to be things that depress you, some more than ever. Your work, losing your job, the burdens of your business, loss of a loved one. All things big and small affect us emotionally, for good or bad. All of us. Rich people too. One thing, stop watching the news. It's all garbage and negative and depresses people. Go out there and look for current events that are relative to you, not what a bunch of puppets are spouting off about what they're paid to speak of. Cancel your subscription to CNN's new service if you're one of the dozen or so people that actually paid for it. The key to dealing with your upset is perspective. I come from a very adverse background. People who know me know the adversities I've been through, so much so that every day when I wake up, I say to myself the old adage, it's a new day, and every day above ground is a good day. And when I'm going to bed at night, I take time to free my mind of the day's events by having some milk and cookies and watching a half-hour YouTube, something to escape into. If the day was particularly difficult, I tell myself tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow is a new day. Because folks, tomorrow morning means new opportunity. You could start fresh. On this channel, we've discussed, and we'll expand on the discussion, what I call the first American philosophers like Napoleon Hill and Dale Carnegie. And later on, we'll talk about guys like Rick Warren, who are really becoming significant bedrocks of the changing American mindset. But let's get back to perspective, because perspective and how you view your adversities, big and small, is what will help you take action in your life. And managing depression and upset is all about action, because nothing happens until something moves. The woman who asked me to do this video, the first thing I told her was, you have to learn how to get out of bed in the morning. People who are upset make the mistake of shutting down and doing nothing. And this is not an idea that is necessarily without precedent. If you come from a poor family, like I do, like 99.95% of the entire world does, maybe even more than that, the first thing poor people do, sometimes as a family when the money is just not there, is they just take it easy and spend nothing. They shut down, and shutting down becomes a knee-jerk reaction, but it doesn't put food in the fridge. This is where the unique experience of being poor in America kicks in. Here is where we gain the perspective unique to our experience, and this is why this video is called Americans and Depression. On a sidebar, you could be rich as well, and still be depressed. I've seen many, many rich people who are constantly depressed and seem to become depressed over less significant things. And it's not that poor people are better at overcoming depression, which they are. They have less social pressures. It's because poor people mask their depression much better, and they have to, because they know that nobody wants to deal with someone who's miserable all the time, and they can't get work or engage with others if they're always moping around. Rich people have also been trained, and properly, by the early American philosophers who explained to them they need to mask their most dire weaknesses because their peers and superiors will likely view them as character flaws. Poor people are very adept to this. I guess what I'm trying to say is, do not go around and scream your head off about your depression and your negative thoughts online, on social media. People who do this are not thinking correctly. The people on your Facebook page are not your actual friends, and nobody helps strangers who are a burden this way. That's just hardcore reality. I mentioned earlier the American philosophers like Hill and Carnegie, and that's Dale Carnegie, not Andrew Carnegie, although they were friends. Hill had a few great lines that gave amazing perspective to those in the throes of upset. He was the first person in the United States to encapsulate and define American manifestation, which is becoming a hot topic right now. Napoleon Hill told us, if we can conceive it and believe it, then we can achieve it. Hill also phrased a very United States applicable saying, that being, with every seed of adversity comes a seed of equal or greater benefit. And this is derived and reworked to the American experience from Shakespeare. I believe it comes from the story As You Like It. And it's the precedental bedrock of Western capitalist thought. And folks, we live in the United States, not Cuba. This is ground zero of capitalism. Shakespeare said, great are the uses of adversity, like the venomous toad, hideous and ugly, yet sweet with the jewel on its head. What all of this means is that adversities and challenges go hand in hand. You're upset, you're feeling down, is because you're in a situation in your life that presents a challenge. And here is where learning to get up in the morning kicks in. There was a time when I was living in a truly third world country, the Dominican Republic, and I got sick, and I spent every penny I had to my name on medical care. In fact, I had to borrow money to have the surgery. When they released me from the hospital, they wheeled me out behind the hospital and left me outside the back entrance. They didn't even say goodbye to me. I had 1 peso to my name. As I recovered, I contemplated what it was that allowed for, in such an adverse environment, one person to be more successful than another. And I followed my father's advice the entire time, which was, you have to learn the importance of getting up in the morning. I had to learn how to get out of bed, even if my body was still in pain from the surgery, even if I was facing the adversity of extreme physical pain. I still had to get out of the bed and take action. I realized in the early mornings, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., that all these people would be out just before the crack of dawn and starting to sell their wares and pitch their talents. And I mean in competition. The old adage proved true. The early bird gets the worm. Use this to your advantage. Why does that bird get the worm, and why the heck, you ask, is that important for your depression? Because in doing so, the bird is taking action. Action. Nothing happens until something moves. I learned the art of making something from nothing, and that's the greatest example of manifestation you can utilize. I watched as people in this impoverished country needed jobs, but with a 50% unemployment rate, there were no jobs to be had. But they had to eat, so they went out and they got 3 sticks of rebar. They got an old metal hubcap and a can of propane, and they'd build stoves and cook people's food for them outside of their homes so as not to get the apartments overly hot in the Caribbean. I saw many of these people start to buy a few chairs and put a table down, and then eventually build a shed, add another piece of equipment, and before you knew it, they'd have their own restaurants. One person who did this is one of the owners of a transnational business called Empanadas Monumental that has franchises from New York to Santo Domingo. Ladies and gentlemen, he comes from a place where many people don't own their first pair of shoes until it's time to go to work. I use this same set of principles, guided by doing what you can do and what you have to do, not what you want to do, to build my restaurant down there, which I sold and moved home using the proceeds from. If my gringo ass can do that in a truly rough place like that, you can do that too, especially here in America. You have great advantages and opportunity here. Even if we're facing a tremendous intellectual low point and a crisis of corruption, this is still the land of opportunity. Also, it is very important, especially in an urban environment, to find a way to have quiet, peaceful moments and people who get up early in the morning when the streets are still quiet and the air is cool and breezy and have their coffee and collect their thoughts. Those people have genius qualities because they are critically thinking. And when you critically think, your mind is resolving the issues you face. Geniuses need lots of time alone, lots of quiet time, because that's how they process thoughts. I can't even begin to tell you how many couples I say this to, and they tell me, you know what, I never thought of that before. Now I understand my wife. Now I understand my husband. Geniuses need time alone to think. And when I get up early each day to make the most of my time, to have that quiet time all philosophers need to organize their thoughts, I do it with a cup of Dunkin' Donuts Original Blend Coffee. It's a great tasting cup of joe that opens the mind and gets the motor going, so make sure to get yourself some right away on Amazon by clicking on the link below. It'll help this channel to grow and your mind to grow too. And a brain that grows is a brain that knows. Dunkin' Donuts coffee, my personal favorite, and you can get it by clicking on the link below. If you're depressed because you have no money, go and find a way to make some money, even just a little. Remember that, even just a little bit. You may only make 20 bucks today on eBay selling something, but at least you're learning about what works for you and moving ahead in a good and positive way. If you're watching this video, you're already one step ahead and on your way to replacing the seed of negativity with one of positivity and greater benefit, because you're educating yourself on a subject that is a part of your life. And what better way to take action than to make a plan and act on it? Now, you can't run across the street if you don't know how to walk. You can't walk if you don't know how to crawl. And you can't crawl if you weren't born. But you were born. You're God's perfect creation and here for a reason. So it's time to learn about your life. So learn about what you're doing. Making a successful plan means doing something that folks, not too many people do, and that's mapping a course. You have to study the terrain. And these days in this country, just knowing how to pick up a book and study puts you at an advantage. I'm serious. Same thing about watching this video. You've taken the initiative on your own to study how you can defeat what you're depressed about. Congratulations, you've accomplished something many people never do. So what can we learn about depression and things that hurt us and make us upset in order to stop from being upset? It's very simple, and this is why I say therapists are a waste of money when people come to me and say, talk to me about depression. Therapists will put you into sessions just to explain to you that you have to frame your mind with positive thoughts. Well, that's why you're here, because you're framing your mind with positive thoughts to help you become happier and more successful in your life. So the question becomes now, what's positive for you? Positive for you is getting unstuck mentally. You have to learn to realize depressing thoughts when they first come about. You can't block them, but you can change them. At least if you're sober, you can change your thoughts. What I learned to do when a negative thought came to me is I made it a practice to say to myself, this is a negative thought. What can I do that's positive that solves the situation presented by this negative thought? In other words, how do I make something good and positive of this negative thought? Let's make an example. I went to bed last night saying, damn, I didn't get enough work done on these videos today, and I felt a little tension because of that, so I immediately said to myself, what can I do to resolve this thing that's causing me tension? I made the decision right there and then to set the alarm for 5 a.m. because, hey, these videos can't produce themselves, and I decided to give the editing and the production the attention it deserved against anything else that was of less priority, like the news that is completely irrelevant to my life. I gave focus and attention to what was going on in my life at the moment and what I needed to finish, and I started to do what I'm responsible for. Awareness of the situation means you're aware of the cause of your upset. Let's stop calling it depression. Let's call it temporary upset. It won't go away forever, but it is temporary. Let's call this upset and see what we can do to gain a perspective that solves this upset. One of the greatest thinkers in our nation's history is Dr. Wayne Dyer. Dr. Dyer has helped so many people overcome adversities with his books. Most notably, there's a spiritual solution to every problem. And when you're done watching this video, you can watch my review on this channel in the Book a Day series about this very book. And in that book, Dyer popularizes an axiom, a concept, if you will, that may have come from the popular 1970s book, The Road Less Traveled, but Dyer really brought this to the forefront. The idea is that there's no such thing as problems, just situations and solutions. And folks, ministers, preachers, gurus, in addition to the beautiful idea that problems don't truly exist unless we let them exist, came about with the subsequent necessary belief that also God does not give us situations, challenges that we do not have the power within us to overcome. I gained the perspective I needed years ago by looking at what made people in New York City so difficult to get along with. And I'm from the city, mind you. It hit me like a ton of bricks one day as I was down near Penn Station one morning on the way to a series of job interviews. I saw all these people running out of Penn Station, and I thought a bomb had gone off. And then I realized these people were running like they were being chased by men with machine guns. I mean, running like they were being shot at. Folks, they were running like this because they're afraid of being late for their jobs. The entire day as I went through the motions of selling myself for the jobs I was interviewing for, things like executive vice president of pencil sharpening and senior debt collection agent that I would pretend meant so much to me and were fascinating, I realized these are things I never want to do with myself. I had a change of mind. It's okay to have a change of mind. You think about it, you reason with your thoughts, and you conclude that there's something better for you. I saw people that afternoon running back to Penn Station the same way, as if they're being chased by men with machine guns because they were so miserable that they felt the urge to run to the refuge of their homes. I began to study this concept. The first thing that stuck out was that these people did this in a group. And over time, I realized an understanding of individualism and collectivism. And in a country like ours, this is an important thing to understand. You see, America, everyone, is the first real society with a population that shunned what their parents did for a living and had people that went out and did their own thing. America is the birthplace of this. Years ago, you'd be what your father was or what your mother was. If your father was an architect, you'd learn architecture growing up and be one of those as well. Same later if you were a mechanic, and you'd find yourself saying things like, I've been doing this, repairing engines from the time I could crawl. And we get a part of that today in us, but it's more an innate ability, like you're picking up a screwdriver and you know how to turn it clockwise, something like that. Here, however, we have a history, beginning with Ben Franklin, of rebelling from our parents. We also have a long line of amazing figures that changed the entire world from right here in the USA, who quit school and never got degrees, like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Abraham Lincoln, John Rockefeller, and Benjamin Franklin too. None of these amazing people finished high school. More recently, Aretha Franklin, Quentin Tarantino, Billy Joe, the singer from Green Day, all these people never finished high school, and let's face it, all of these people are true geniuses in every sense of the word, and they all faced adversities, and they all gained a perspective that helped them develop a clear route, a way to success. What all these people did was so unique. Inventing the car, popularizing electricity, inventing the post office, discovering a new way to produce movies or make music. It was all outside the box. And that's a big part of being an individual and not a collectivist. It's the difference between running to work every morning like you're being chased by men with machine guns versus quietly having your coffee before everybody's rushing around scared and being happy with your thoughts. Remember, the ability to be happy and enjoy the thoughts you have, even if that's the only thing in the world you have, that's enough to start with, because those thoughts are your manifestation tools. Manifestation is the act of making the thoughts in your mind into reality. Now, remember what I said earlier about starting out small, taking baby steps? You can't go from A to Z without doing the messy middle first. You can't make that jump unless you hit the lottery, and your odds of that are a longer shot than even being the next Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. So run where you can. Remember that. Run where you can. If you could go out today to the library and tomorrow you have a job interview at a new Italian restaurant that's opening up, when you get to the library, you can ask if there's a book on Italian cooking, and you can read it. And then you'll know that you're equipped with an advantage in your job interview. But what you can't do is go in blind and tell the owner how he or she should be serving Japanese food instead of Italian food at their restaurant. To think intuitively is outside of the box because it's comparative to what others are and are not doing. The chances these days that the people sitting next to you in the interview room even Googled Italian cookbooks before trying for the job is just about nil. They didn't do it, you did. But now you can tell the person doing the interview with you that you know how to tell a customer whether or not you serve souffle. When you come from a family and don't know your father or your mother that well, and folks, this is a huge thing in this country. You're not alone in this by a long shot. Finding out where you can run is super important because you're discovering what you can do to improve your lot in life, and you're critically thinking, and what could be more critical than what you need to survive? Americans, by and large, don't live in reality. A very successful businessman in Florida had this conversation with me not too long ago. He expressed frustration that people would come up with these crazy ideas and take actions based on thoughts in their heads about subjects they have no knowledge of or haven't been qualified to speak about. This type of bare stupidity frustrates the hell out of people like yourself who seek answers and seek solutions like you're doing right now. It drives people who study and learn mad with frustration because they see the complete disasters this not thinking holds in store. But we are thinking. So here's where we sit back and say to ourselves, frustration comes from not understanding something, either on our own or through a lack of study about what we want to understand, or from somebody else who frustrates us because, say, they didn't understand our order at the drive-thru and they put mayonnaise on our chicken sandwich, and now we have to go back and return it because we're allergic to mayonnaise. So what do we have to do now? Well, we have to make sure to incorporate into our daily routines that we keep an eye over the person manning the grill to make sure that he serves us the chicken sandwich the way that it needs to be served to us, because this is something that we need. We will never be happy unless we are doing what we need before we do what we want. This all goes to how we think and how we think about negative thoughts, those things that depress us. And in order to process these things correctly, we have to realize when these thoughts are coming on and make a disciplined decision to tell ourselves, this is a negative train of thought. What caused this? Then right away you have to tell yourself, now I know where to begin to fix this. And we fix it by running where we can run, which is really doing what we can do and not trying to do something that's completely outside of our reach. People do this all the time. Poor people, people who've hit the bottom, they take wild swings for the fences and try and hit a home run out of the park before they've healed their broken arm. This is just an excuse for not being patient, which is not being responsible. Responsible means you do your job 100% the right way. If you do things that way, they'll always call on you first when times are tough. And if you're your own boss, say you own an airline, you know the ruin and destruction that not fixing your planes properly will bring. It's the same for negative thoughts. So for now, what you can do right now is realize when these bad thoughts are coming on. Say them for what they are. Poisonous and negative thoughts, and if they truly affect you, then you need to begin to search now, right now, for ways to turn those negative thoughts into positive, actual things, and you'll be accomplishing something. A few thoughts before we close. First of all, you can't do any of these things under the influence of alcohol or drugs, period. If you're using either, you're letting a chemical control your mind, and thinking properly can't be accomplished if your mind is self-crippled. You need to get off that stuff if you want to be able to think properly. I can't begin to tell you how often my girlfriend's come home from working at the hospital and said, tonight we had this patient in the ER, he's a pothead and he wanted to kill himself. This crap causes all sorts of depression and psychosis. Also, as you grow older, and you can't resolve matters of the mind using that crap. And it lasts for decades, even after you stop using it. True, too, is that many of the most successful people who have made something from nothing, Donald Trump is one of them, Don King and others, Steve Jobs, Howard Hughes, all of these people are billionaires and they don't drink, not a drop. In closing, a lot of this type thinking is derived from the American philosophers like Hill and Carnegie, and I want to do more videos based on these amazing people. What do you think? Would you like that? Please place your comments below and let me know. Also, should I follow up with a part 2 on this subject of depression in a couple of days? Please let me know on that as well. For my friend, I'll call her Meg, I hope this was helpful, and also a substantial portion of this is derived from the books listed below. And if you want to take it upon yourself to read them, please follow the links below to Amazon, and that commission helps this show and this channel to grow. And if you intend on buying something on Amazon unrelated, please link through below and let them know this is your jump off and we're sent there from here. And if you find this video useful, extraordinary, and amazing, inspiring, and more, and you want to buy your friend Ben dinner, you could click on the link for that below as well. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care of yourself. Have you been checking out my t-shirts and sweatshirts? I praise Jesus every way I can because he's the Son of God who walked the earth for our sins. Now Jesus told us to go into the world and let others know of his love for us and our love for him. It's funny when I wear these shirts because lots of people across the country in places like Pennsylvania, Florida, and Washington State, they come up to me and say, "Praise Jesus," or "Great shirt." Well, don't thank me. Thank the big man upstairs. However, when I wear these shirts in my hometown in New York City very often, I get these mean looks from the city dwellers, and I can see what that's from. It's the fear they have from the realization that they've not placed God and his Son, who died for our sins, in the right place in their lives. Oftentimes I say to these people, their eyes wide as they realize they're not alone in the world, I tell them, Jesus loves you. And folks, I've had people say to me, I've been staring at your shirt and I understand you're wearing that shirt was done for a reason, and a good reason. So if you remind the faithful that we're continuing to spread the good news, or if you're going to give those who've lost their way a reminder that the big man upstairs will always love them as long as they seek him, you can order these shirts today. The Jesus is my homeboy t-shirt, look at that right there. The Reese's Pieces Sweet Savior Jesus, or my favorite, the Catch Up with Jesus t-shirt or sweatshirt. They're excellent quality through Amazon, and all you have to do is click on the links below, and your purchase helps this channel to grow, and I thank you for your support. As always, I praise the King of Kings, Jesus Christ. I believe in you, I receive you, and I love you. You are my Lord. Benjamin Irish here. In these hard times, unfortunately, our four-legged friends are often forgotten about. Please make it a point every single holiday to donate 20 pounds or more of animal food to your local animal shelter. These guys would ask you for it, but they don't have words. Isn't that right, Zoe? Isn't that right, Zeus? You guys are ready for your walk? Can I get kissy wishy, mommy? Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. You're gonna give me, oh, you gave me a kissy too. Mwah. Love you guys. Aww. Please, donate 20 pounds of animal food to your local shelter every single holiday. Let's go for a walk, guys. Let's go for a walkie walk. Let's go for a walkie walk. Waste. Hey, you guys did so good.